Hi there, Chris Whitby coming to you from the Hassan Company, and I just wanted to give you a little update on what's happening in the real estate market today. A lot of people are wondering, are we in a housing bubble? And is that bubble about to pop sometime soon? We've all been experiencing an amazing increase in home values and watching home prices go up and up over the last few years. And if you're a homeowner, that's great news, right? Because you've gained a lot of equity. But it makes it a little more challenging if you're a buyer because things have gotten more expensive. So often right now I'm getting questions about what's happening. Is this a housing bubble? Because we've got all sorts of economic factors that people are concerned about and that are affecting all of us right now. So I just wanted to take it back and take a look at the historical data and share a little bit of that with you today in order to help you understand what's happening in the market and what we're thinking is going to happen as we continue to move through 2022. First of all, home values. If we actually look back all the way till right after World War II in 1945, we have had a consistent home value increase since then, with one major exception, and that was during the recession, when we had a housing crisis that was fed by loose lending standards and people taking money out of their homes as if they were a bank. And we had a major housing crisis which resulted in millions of people losing their homes and a major drop in prices. We're not seeing that right now, and so I want to talk to you a little bit about why we don't think that we're going to see that sort of bubble sort of popping over the next year. One of them is just stricter lending processes. When that housing crisis happened in 2006, 7, 8, leading up to the housing crisis, there was a lot of predatory lending. People who had low credit scores were getting into mortgages that they didn't understand with variable rates, and therefore just a few years down the road they couldn't afford to keep those homes. We're much stricter in terms of our lending practices now, so that's one of the ways in which we're controlling that scenario from happening. When that happened, of course, during the housing bubble, the housing crisis, we ended up having a huge number of foreclosures. Well, of course, we just experienced this radical pandemic during the coronavirus, and a lot of people losing their jobs, wondering are they going to be able to keep their homes. And luckily, the government stepped in with a forbearance program, which really has saved people from having to lose their homes. And in fact, if you look at the data, the forbearance program, which started in May of 2020, had approximately 4.7 million people who took advantage of that program. And looking at it now, 2 years later, we actually have had almost 90% of people come out of that forbearance program, and the majority of them have come out okay. They've either paid back what they owed, or they did an adjustment with their lending institution, so they're able to pay that back, or maybe they tacked on that additional amount at the end of their loan. We're only seeing about 18% of the people who are coming out of that forbearance program who are still in trouble. So what does that mean? We're not going to see a huge wave of foreclosures like we did during the housing crisis. So if you're waiting for a bunch of cheap houses to come on the market because they're going to be bank owned, that's just not going to happen. And really, that's a good thing. We don't want people losing their homes because of foreclosures. So we're just not going to see that sort of wave of foreclosures like we did during the housing crisis. During that housing recession, home loans were a lot easier to get, and like I mentioned, they're just not that case anymore. We're not using refis and cash out refis to go buy jet skis and boats and a bunch of consumer items. When people are refining, the majority of people who are refining in the last few years were refining for a lower rate, and therefore actually saving money as a result of that. So what does all this mean in terms of home price forecasting for this year, affordability, buyer demand? Is it a good time to buy, sell? What do we do here? Well, if you actually take a look at what the economists and the major leaders in terms of looking at pricing, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, they're actually still predicting that we're going to continue to see a home value increase, about 9%, in fact, this year. And that, as I mentioned before, has initially in the fall of 2021, we thought we would actually have a little bit less increase, but we've had this real supply and demand issue that just continues. Even in the Portland area, we're still under 1 month of supply available in terms of homes. So we still have pretty high buyer demand, but we have just not enough homes available to meet that demand. And so we're still seeing homes go on the market, sell quickly, and for well over asking with an average of 4 offers. So we're just not seeing that portion slow down. And I don't think that we will anytime soon. So just as we think about affordability, we're all kind of feeling it, as I mentioned before. Gas is more expensive, our groceries are more expensive, consumer products are more expensive. If you're taking on a remodel project, you know that building materials are more expensive. So we're all feeling that. So if you are somebody who's thinking about buying a home, obviously with interest rates having risen 2% since the fall of last year, even the winter of last year in December of 2021 to May of 2022 now, certainly that affects your affordability and what you can purchase. So you may need to adjust your price point a little bit in order to make up for that increase in interest rates, because it is considerable. It could be up to $500 to $600 per month more that you're paying just because that jump 2% in interest rates. But know that interest rates are still historically low at 5.25%. Economists are saying that those are going to go up because, of course, what the economy is trying to do here is moderate inflation. So interest rates have been being raised by the feds. And the prediction is that they could go up to as high as about 6% this year. So if you're hoping, well, if I just sit back and wait a little bit, all the housing prices are going to go down, the interest rates are going to go down, that's really not what we're hearing. So I would take advantage of keeping an eye on what's going on in the market. Talk to your real estate professional like me, I'm happy to help. And let's get out there and see what's available. Whether you're thinking of buying and you need some help rethinking what's the best price point for you, or if you're thinking of taking advantage of the home equity that you've gained in your home and you'd like to sell, I'd love to talk with you about that. So just as a review, home values are increasing at a predicted 9% for this year of 2022. Forbearance and foreclosures are low, at an all-time low right now. Lending standards are high, so that's going to keep people from getting into products that really are dangerous and high risk, so we don't see them losing their homes. Interest rates are climbing and predicted to continue to climb to about 6%. Right now they're at about 5.25. Buyer demand continues to be strong, inventory remains low, and it continues to be a seller's market. So I'd love to help you with anything house related. Reach out and give me a call, and I'd be happy to help. Take care. That's Spring Market, May 2022.